Equilibrium is an incentive-based system of collaboration that operates in recognition of universal law. Equilibrium is a recession-proof system through the production of tangible value at every level locally and communally. If you check my previous work, you will see that I have called this system equilibrium, although as I've stated you can call it whatever you want. I've also referred to it as the Hermetic system and the exergonic economy. The question is simply, if you were to take a survey of everything going on here and reimagine each system and process so that everyone was taken care of at the maximum level possible, then what would that look like? How would each thing work if reimagined? How would housing work? How would jobs work? How would government work? If all of these things were reformed so that they were all working together in symbiotic unison, rather than against each other in ceaseless competition over everything. In this system, we are trying to peer into a future where each aspect of the system is working in unison to produce the most benefit for everyone. Here the government, corporations, and the entire civilian population are on the same side and work together to produce the most beneficial living conditions for everyone. With new technologies that allow us to participate in local to regional decision-making processes, we can all take part in collaborative activities to help shape the world. As far as I'm concerned, I already did the work. While I did the work, I searched and found people like Jacques Fresco of the Venus Project and realized that the work has already been done. Or, we are all adding our own unique elements to some great work. But this work is being ignored. We have much greater potential to make our lives suck so much less. Untapped potential that we squander. The magnitude of suckitude has reached unbearable proportions. And I see how you can have it good in this system, I once did. But there is a ravenous underbelly that just does not let up on those getting tossed down throughout its merciless gears. We are in a scarcity-based system. Goods and services are being lorded over us like they are gods. The allowance for the ceaseless and ever-increasing greed in their greed-based system is reaching comical levels of in-your-face extortion of the working people. I say working people because there appear to be a class of working people and a class of non-contributing non-working people who for some reason have everything in their possession. For those who can't see it, this is all about the free-riding violence-backed mob using violence to give their fake fiat currency value, handing power down to one another through time not based upon merit, but based upon their willingness to violate universal law and commit atrocities in the name of giving their fake fiat currency value through eventual acts of violence to back it up. This is about the productive people of the world being forced to butt heads with the controlling non-productive ownership people of the world. It is a question of how long they can keep it up. How many new generations of people can they trick into believing their free-riding valuation schemes that allow them to have it way too good while forcing others to have it way too bad? They don't use their time and power to elevate the living conditions of all, nor prepare us for potential calamities. Instead, they leave us wide open to them, and in fact they offer us up to them. I need to be in a system that I can collapse into if need be for whatever reason. We all deserve to be in a system that is there to catch us and support us, rather than a system that is always out to get us. I get it. It is possible to have a very nice life in this system. Yet the higher you go up the levels of the system, the more it is based on fraud. The lower you go in the system, the more you will be taken advantage of and ripped apart. And if you peek behind the inner workings of that system, you see critical structural cracks, such as the use of fractional reserve banking, and the inevitable devaluation of the currency through inflation. All prices to be paid for this fraud will be paid by the working class, while those benefiting and causing the problems by producing free value for themselves will not feel any adverse effects as their system collapses and implodes. So this channel is going to be used to discuss various concepts within an abundance-based collaborative system, and I will also be ranting endlessly about the present scarcity-based competition system that we find ourselves in. I've just been doing this work as a natural response to my recognition of certain critical elements of reason and rationale that would improve our living conditions or prevent confrontations or calamities that we are headed for. It comes down to a bunch of power brokers that don't want to lose their power, and the limitless ends they are willing to go to retain power over others. Because of that, our living conditions can become unacceptable. I've been doing their jobs for free, and because of that, I am hated and I have suffered tremendously. I accidentally sacrificed more of my time and energy than I care to realize pursuing these conceptual ghosts. I've done a lot of work in conceptualizing potential systemic solutions to the problems we face. But at what cost? My relationships and my living conditions have all been wrecked, and I can contribute it in part to the system's influence of how we should treat each other, and my preoccupation with believing there was a better way to do all of this, if only we could figure it out. My living conditions are crumbling, and I don't have the time for this. I've already done a lot of work in this regard, but my work is being ignored, and they continue to present the problems that they are farming and garnering power from. They keep me teetering on the edge of financial ruin at all times. At all times I am running from the teeth trying to gobble me up, take all of my resources and my shelter, and achieve the goal of making me homeless once again. This should never happen to anyone ever. The system should not be assaulting us with the concept of work or anything else. These things should be in service to humanity and available to us instead of being used to demean us and put us down before the hoity-toity big-time institution of the human ego that forces you to come before it and beg for every little thing. I'm tired of what we've been presented with here. I'm talking about using our collective genius to reduce our collective burden so we can enjoy our time here. I have no support. I have had no support for decades, and the light is fading. I don't have much time seeing as I am literally always at work. Decades of working isolation have frayed my emotions down to continual rage episodes. But that's fine, that should be more entertaining for you. You can watch me explode after years of compounding rage episodes. But before this desecration of my mind and everything that I believed in, I did the work. So even though I have now become a raging madman, I already found the answers needed before my mind went berserk. I have a framework of concepts for another system and how that system would work. I will run various things through the filter of the system and provide more concepts about it. Although, as I've said, I already did the work and presented it on other channels and mediums like a book, but no one is paying attention. But whatever. I will come at this as though I was in one of your very, very many power broker positions. This is what I would be doing. Coming up with solutions to problems. So very much unlike them. So one of my next videos will break down suggestions of what I would do now. Coming from the standpoint of moving into another system. I am not forcing anything on anyone. In fact, I believe every concept I mention should be voted upon first, before implementation. But as the staged event of the Great Depression shows us, this system is set up for a fall. Depressions are built into the system, at the expense of all the people. This is how they will reset their fake currency, and how they will reduce the population of humanity down to a manageable herd. This is about acquisition through systemic tricks, economic warfare against the civilian population. Do you need for that to happen first before looking to make a change? I would rather get ahead of it and prevent calamities. So I'd like to just stay focused on this system, but they are tearing me apart in the real world. I have no support, and I've had no support for a long time. It's like a supernatural force is trying desperately to get me out of here. That could just be the phantom of inflation I am experiencing. All that time and energy I have spent seem to result in nothing, just more ghosts. So after these few introductory videos, I may start to veer off path with this channel. You can watch me descend into madness as I am economically squashed and washed away. The fate of us all as we dance for value as we are devalued by the Great Depression producing system. Basically, I'm not going to stay on course with this channel. I tried being polite and a compromising part of the community on my other channel, but not here. This channel is in recognition of the fact that they just don't ever stop coming down on you. So I believe I have some pretty good solutions, but I may or may not be able to stay focused. I might just start bashing my head repeatedly into the wall, and that should be pretty entertaining for you. I might just make several videos about how the neighbors are pissing me off in this tiny studio apartment. After working all day, I have to come home and hear the neighbors' bass music blasting through my walls so consistently and relentlessly that I am going to tear out my hair and run naked into the street. That should be pretty entertaining for you. Apparently, rationally describing your ideas for solutions to things doesn't do it so. Let's give them a show. We'll see how it goes. You can always refer to my previous work. As I've said, I do believe I have already covered the core concepts required to begin forming a system based on universal law, but my previous work is mostly being ignored, and I am open to any debate, criticism, or assistance. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. If I am wrong, then I will gladly back away from this work. But they continue to taunt with their threats of personal and total systemic collapse, saying that it is all going to fall apart for you, or the housing market, or the stock market, or whatever. It's always the next threat from this self-imploding, self-consuming, self-predatory pain in the ass for an excuse for a world survival system. And hey, maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, you would think there would at least be someone who would have a debate with me. Over many years, no one will so much as debate the concepts I am putting forth and advocating for. They will call it communism or socialism as they have been taught to, and then they scamper off into the wilderness never to be seen or heard from again. No one will debate these concepts with me. Not for decades. There were some instances, but not many. Mostly no one says a thing. So I am either so crazy no one wants to say anything, or so potentially right that no one wants to say anything, or likely people don't know if it is right or wrong and don't really know what I'm saying. So they don't say anything. The few times people have debated me, they were unable to convince me these concepts were wrong, so I have held on to them as potential solutions as I have continued to watch your world cry out as it crumbles and falls apart, which leads us to